This podcast is not intended to provide any investment advice. The opinions expressed here by either the hosts or guests do not necessarily reflect the views of PSA, Collectors Holdings, or any of their affiliates. Any discussion of collectible values in the past or present is not a guarantee of future performance. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another week of the PSA Pod. Ryan Greene and Jack Archer are here with you this week in the NBA Jam studio. Jack, what's going on?
Value is back.
It's the big news.
Exciting times here at PSA HQ in Santa Ana.
Yeah, we dove into it last week with Kevin Linnane. If you didn't get a chance, however you consume our podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen, definitely go back and check out last week's episode. It was a really great in-depth conversation with PSA president Kevin Linnane about the return of value service level. This is a highly anticipated service level return for PSA customers. And just to kind of refresh you on the details, we opened it up for card submissions from cards produced 1996 through 2022. $30 a card. You do have to be a PSA Collectors Club member to submit right now at the value service level, with a maximum declared value per card at $499. The most important detail that, we really can't hammer home enough here, because this was a question we got a lot last week surrounding the return of the service level. We are in the home stretch of clearing the 2021 backlog right now, and incoming value orders have an estimated turnaround time of approximately 120 days, calendar days. And that falls in line with the protocol that those orders will not begin shipping back to customers until the 2021 backlog orders are cleared, which right now is projected to be completed in the early fall.
Yeah, it's pretty simple, right? So the back half of our operations is filled with the backlog, and the front half of our operations, receiving, research and ID, all of the initial steps in the grading process, is ready to rock and roll with all these new orders coming in.
Yep. So very exciting times here at PSA, and Jack, this really couldn't time out any better.
It's perfect timing, because we're ripping. You and I are ripping. Everyone in the office is ripping. It's just so fun to have all these new products out, and you see everyone get the card savers out, start prepping orders. And you're seeing it in our office, so you just know hobbyists and collectors all over the map are doing the same thing.
One thing I didn't anticipate when I started this job last year was how ready I need to be with card supplies in my desk. Because we're a lot of us here are collectors, and we like to rip product in the office. And last week we were talking about 2021 Prism football, which came out 2 weeks ago and still is really hot in the market. Just the first of a few flagship football releases coming this summer, and value opens the same week that Top Series 2 baseball releases. And boy, kind of like a roller coaster of emotion with the Top Series 2 release, when we first saw that some of the highly anticipated rookies wouldn't be in the base set, but then you find out, no, they're there, just with a little bit of a tweak to it.
Yeah, essentially, Bobby Witt, Julio Rodriguez, and Spencer Torkelson are all short prints in the new Series 2. So, if you're familiar with Acuna and 2018, the Bat Down was a short print. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. with a no number rookie card in 2019. Essentially, they gave Witt, Torkelson, and Julio the same exact treatment as that.
And these cards ended up hitting your quota, because we've had this discussion how, like, with flagship rookie cards, you don't want to see an image on the card that is like blatantly a spring training photo, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whether these are even spring training photos or not, you wouldn't know. Really great photo choices for these short print rookies. You've seen a bunch of them starting to populate on eBay. Another coworker here was opening a box yesterday and hit the Torkelson short print rookie, which just looked really cool in person. I personally love the simplicity that these guys have these base rookie cards in the set. There's not like there's not a ton of parallels. It's literally just the base of them. They have an insert auto, and Bobby and Julio have insert autos in the set, but I just love that it's just like the base that you're chasing.
It's so classic and
It's
timeless.
nostalgic.
It's Americana in a certain way.
Yes.
I love this design. I've said that before. I'm going to say it again. This is one of my favorite Topps flagship designs in a number of years, and I love the photos that they chose, especially for Bobby Witt and especially for Julio Rodriguez. Horizontal cards, not always a favorite in the hobby, but I've learned to really love them, and I think the image they chose for Julio Rodriguez is just so cool.
Yeah, we've talked about this on the show before. Like horizontal cards, I don't mind them if the photo is like makes it worthwhile or there's like a really good story. I always go back to the example of the 2019 Fernando Tatis Series 2, where they essentially made the photo line up with his father, Fernando Tatis Sr.'s 2001 Topps card, to where if you put them side by side, it's almost the same image.
Mm-hmm.
Like as soon as I saw that, I was like, anybody who complains about this being a horizontal card, I don't want to hear it. This is so cool.
Yeah. I was at a show on Saturday, a card show, and I took my 2-month-old son for his first ever card show. I was rolling around with the stroller, and he was not sleeping. He was not just relaxing. His eyes were wide open, and he was looking around. Made me very proud. Probably too young to take there, but I did it anyways. But I picked up a really nice Ichiro Gold Refractor 2004 and a PSA 9. And on my way out, I grabbed a hobby box of Series 2. So I got to open that, experience it. Topps flagship is just Topps flagship. There's just something that will always be special about it. Mm-hmm. Didn't get anything too crazy. I got a Wander Franco rookie relic, and a few nice like golds, and I got the clear acrylic card, which is I've never hit before.
Those are so cool.
Yeah, not of a crazy player or anything, but it was still fun to pull something like that. But just a great product, and it has me so incredibly hyped for Topps Chrome because I'm a Chrome guy. I like the shiny things. You're the same way. You also like the shiny things. So Topps Chrome is coming, and I'm just so amped up.
It comes right in the heat of the baseball season, really getting to that point now. We're about a third of the way through the 2022 season. We want to talk baseball today. Like it just makes too much sense with Topps Series 2 coming out. We got baseball in the mind. So, we want to talk baseball in the hobby. Obviously this is going to be a big summer with, we mentioned Bobby Witt Jr., Julio Rodriguez, Spencer Torkelson. This is clearly an indicator that they're going to have some other big rookie cards coming out and other products. But let's go before 2022. Of the guys we've seen this year, we've seen about a third of a season performance. In terms of the hobby, who do you really have your eyes on? In terms of guys who have just performed way above expectation this year, and who are you maybe giving a fresh look to with your hobby eyes?
Manny Machado is kind of the first name that comes to mind. I'm not a big fan of Manny Machado personally. I admire his game. I'm sure he's an incredible human being in real life, but I've never like sort of
never drawn to him.
Yeah, I was never necessarily drawn to him, but he's been so impressive this year, and the Padres have been so impressive that you just kind of can't help but keep your eyes on him, and it gets you incredibly excited for Tatis most likely joining the team in July and seeing what they can do together if Machado stays this hot throughout the entire year and Tatis comes back strong.
Yeah, he, it's funny. You look at the standings. We're recording this, early in the week, and the Padres are tied for first place with the Dodgers in the NL West, and they don't even have Tatis back yet. But then, like, there's part of me in the back of my mind that's being like, I remember this from last year, and they kind of faded down the stretch. I don't know if it's going to be different, but from a hobby perspective, I feel like, you talk about Machado. I feel like this also puts Tatis in a wonderful position.
Yeah, absolutely. I just love the idea of the Dodgers and the Padres just going at it
all the way down to the wire,
deep into the MLB season.
They have a ton of games left against each other too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you can't count out the Giants too. The NL has a lot of great teams, and the other team that's really impressing me is the St. Louis Cardinals. You have Nolan Arenado and especially Paul Goldschmidt tearing it up this year. They're two like borderline Hall of Famers, I would say. I think they both are probably going to get in. Arenado, especially because of his glove, but those are two outstanding, incredible ball players that do not get a lot of hobby love. And I think if they continue how they're playing deep into the MLB season, I think the Cardinals and I think those two are going to get a lot of attention from the hobby.
So it's kind of like the a little bit of the theme is it's been especially because outside of Wander Franco, a lot of these young stars don't have their 2022 rookies really heavily in the market yet.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of like some old favorites really coming back in a big way this year.
I mean,
Guys who had their rookie years in years where the hobby was, let's just say it, a little bit down in terms of mass popularity. I think, do you think a lot of collectors are going to start kind of rediscovering these guys and going back and looking for that, 2013, I believe it was, Nolan Arenado, Topps Chrome rookie card and the parallels, et cetera?
absolutely. And Paul Goldschmidt too. I think Freddie Freeman sort of falls into this window as well. Yep. Francisco Lindor, and even Mookie Betts. And they're going to not only kind of realize how interesting these players are to collect, but how low the pops are for just, even basic refractors. Very, very interesting to look at through a collector's lens.
You mentioned Freddie Freeman. That's a great one. He was like, his rookie card is in that 2011 Topps update. He's kind of like forgotten about.
An iconic design, a phenomenal design too.
Because of course, maybe after the 89 Upper Deck Griffey, like one of the most iconic modern baseball rookie cards is in that set.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
So, we talk about that iconic rookie card and Mike Trout, a guy who had a couple years where, actually, before we say that, Mike Trout on Sunday Night Baseball talking about how he's collecting cards now.
Yeah, incredible. That was a moment for sure.
I watch Sunday Night Baseball, like usually when I'm just kind of hanging out on the couch Sunday evenings, if there's nothing else on, even if it's two teams I don't really, care about. I like the Angels obviously because we live here. But yeah, they had him, mic'd up. He was not playing defense that night. So he was just kind of sitting in the dugout during an inning. And, the broadcast crew was talking about him, and they started talking about that story of the kid pulling the Mike Trout 101 card, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
And how cool of a moment that was. And Carl Ravitch asked Mike Trout, like, do you collect your own cards? Do you collect cards? And he said, I never really did, but I am now. I'm collecting them for my son, his 2-year-old son, Beckham. And he's like, I got a whole binder full of Mike Trout cards.
Proper.
Wow.
Love to see it. Got to hook him up with some Dynasty patch autos and the good stuff, Mr. Trout.
I was going to say, like, do you think part of that is like, obviously Topps is sending him stuff to sign year round. Do you think you eventually you're just seeing this stuff and you're signing him and you're like, yeah, maybe I should go try to get some of these.
Yeah, this is actually pretty cool. I think if you're a professional athlete too, you see all the different products come through and you have a very clear feel for like what might be the most sought after and the most premium and all that stuff. So I'm sure that binder is fairly stacked, but we need to see those cards and PSA holders, if you ask me.
Well, I agree, especially we're right down the street, right?
Yeah.
It makes too much sense.
Too much sense.
Well, let's put it this way. Mike Trout even said, like, he's still learning about the hobby and all that. You're able to have a conversation with Mike Trout right now. Give me 2 Trout cards you're going to tell him to go get. I'm putting you on the spot here.
2 Trout cards that he needs to own. I mean, I would say it's the Diamond Anniversary and the Cognac. I think those are 2 beautiful cards. I think they look phenomenal side by side.
The 2011 Topps
update. And then I would just say, Mike Trout, you make a lot of money and you're the best at what you do. You need to be the best at collecting too. Super fractors, like pull out your wallet. Gold refractors, the best. Like you got to go for it. You see Larry Fitzgerald with our own Josh Johnson from Card Ladder posting with his gold prisms and his gold Topps Chrome X Fractor, and Larry Fitzgerald's doing it right. And I think Mike Trout needs to get on that level once he gets a little bit deeper into the hobby.
So I would give him. So you mentioned the Diamond and Cognac Anniversary.
Yes.
Anyone who listens to this show and has heard me talk about cards before knows I'm a total nerd for color matches. I love the Target Red Border 2011 Topps Update rookie card. I would say that's one that I think could be a really nice fit to your collection as well. Also a tough one to find in a good grade. I also, you know what card I love is the 2018 Topps Now, the Players Weekend, the super short printed sets with him and Ohtani. And I believe it's one of Ohtani's lowest print run rookie cards.
Yeah.
Period. I feel like that would be a good one to go hunt.
He has some really beautiful, I think it's Topps Definitive. That set. There's a Mike Trout with King Griffey Jr. dual auto. I think that's pretty neat as well. And if I'm sure he grew up watching the kid like the rest of us.
That's the other thing I love is like with these guys, like who do they collect other than themselves? Like, and why?
Yeah, I think that's cool. I'm waiting for, and perhaps this is already happening. I just haven't caught wind of it yet. I'm waiting for the modern athlete to collect other modern players that he admires, or like, if someone's just like, this pitcher just like destroys my team every time we play him. Like I just, out of respect,
I'm gonna go get his cards.
I have to dive into his rookie cards a little bit. You see a lot of people, like if they're a baseball player, they collect football and they collect basketball, and maybe they collect some like vintage baseball, but they're not necessarily collecting their peers. I think it's almost like a respect thing. Like I just got like, destroyed by this one player, and out of respect, like a tip of the hat, I'm gonna go after some of their rookie cards.
So kind of, we were talking about this yesterday about guys who, we're collecting right now, and guys that, we've been talking about this here off the top of the show, guys who are performing really well, who we're seeing kind of have a resurgence in the market. And something we wanted to bring to the show today was a buy, trade, hold segment.
Yeah. New segment alert, buy, trade, hold. I like it.
You've heard a lot of names get thrown out here, right? So we decided to kind of like group some of them together, and you've got to choose. You've got 3 guys here. You can buy cards of one right now. You can trade one, and you can hold for the long term on the third.
And no cheating either. No, like I'm going to hold all 3 of these or nothing like that. You have to choose one.
It is black and white.
Rules are rules.
So we've got 3 groupings here. And the first 2, let's start. We've got some kind of MLB veterans who are performing really well this year, who, I guess, the markets are kind of all over the place, right? So we got Mookie Betts.
Stud.
Shohei Ohtani.
Stud.
And Aaron Judge.
Probably
the MVP of the world right now.
Yeah, he's, what a season that guy's having.
So who are you buying?
I'm buying Ohtani.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like his market is a little down, and I feel like everyone has gotten just too accustomed to what he's doing, and what he's doing is absolutely insane. I said it in a few podcast episodes ago. Like, unless he throws a perfect game and hits 4 bombs in the same game, like people aren't going to notice what he's doing anymore. But he's an incredible, like once in multi-generation type player. And I definitely feel like my collection is missing a lot of Ohtani, so I'd be buying Ohtani.
I'm buying Mookie Betts. I think he's got. I was watching one of their games this weekend. They got swept by the Giants, but the lineup that this guy is in, I just like. It still feels like his cards are kind of under the radar in a big way. He's in the prime of his career, and I just don't see how this team is not playing deep into October for at least the next 3 years.
Yeah, and Mookie Betts in that lineup is going to score like a bajillion runs this year.
Exactly.
He's my hold. I think Mookie Betts is a surefire Hall of Famer. I'm a big fan of him as a player, as a person. He's so fun to watch, so charismatic out there, and I love your buy. The only thing with Betts for me is that he doesn't have a ton of cards, which is a good thing and a bad thing. So if you're very aesthetically driven, you don't have a lot of choices in his rookie cards.
That's fair.
But if you're very focused on like low populations, this is a very good thing because there's just not a lot out there.
So we're kind of flipped. My hold is Shohei Ohtani.
Gotcha.
Like you said, the market's kind of a little down from where it was last year. And that's probably natural because he had such a resurgence of his cards last year.
Mm-hmm.
Because he'd had a couple injury riddled years, after coming in hot. So it sounds like we're both in alignment then on our trade.
Yeah.
Who I'm taking to shows all summer long and trying to acquire some other stuff with.
There are a lot of Yankees fans out there. I'm not one of them. And I think there's a lot of great reasons to collect Judge, but the fact that he's on the Yankees doesn't necessarily mix with me. And just personally, like my entire life, I've always gravitated towards the speedsters, the players that aren't necessarily the big boppers, like McGuire, Sosa, Barry Bonds, those Jose Canseco. Those were never my favorite type of players. And so I think, someone, more along the lines of, Tatis and Mookie Betts that are more five-tool, fast guys, great base runners, good defense, all that kind of stuff has always appealed to me more.
So he not only is hot right now and whatnot, but he also has obviously what he attached to him, what I like to call the Yankee premium.
Always.
There's Yankee fans everywhere, like you said. And when a player's hot, that's one thing. When they're hot and they're a Yankee, I feel like it could potentially just take things to another level.
Yeah. Can you imagine what Soto cards will do if he gets traded to the Yankees?
As someone who has a lot of Soto cards, I'm open to finding out.
Yeah. Just make sure to invite me to your yacht parties.
I'm not going to go that far, but if it leads to a yacht, I'll be the biggest Yankee fan in the world. All right. So our second group, we're going with the young stars, the young up and comers here, two of whom we've already mentioned, but all three are 2022 hobby darlings. So we've got Bobby Witt Jr., who has his first flagship rookie card in Topps Series 2. Same with Julio Rodriguez of the Seattle Mariners and Wander Franco, currently injured, but has gotten off to a really good start this year. His first full season in MLB, one of the biggest prospects to come around in the last decade. Let's start with the buy. Who are you buying?
I'm buying Bobby Witt. I'm a company man. He's friend of the show, friend of PSA. That's number one. Number two, I love his game. Number three, I think he's a future MVP, all-star. I think he's a special player. I've always had a soft spot for the Royals for whatever reason. I was like a huge Alex Gordon fan back in the day.
They're easy to root for. As someone who lived in Kansas City for several years, they're very easy to root for if you're not a fan.
Yeah, and I just, I love his game. Yeah. I think he's a ball player and a half, and I am absolutely going to be going after a lot of his Topps Chrome cards. I have one of his Bowman First, a non-auto. It's the Blue Mojo at a 150, I think. But I'm just a huge fan of him.
Well, for all the reasons you listed, that's my buy as well. We're aligned there. Who's your hold?
My hold is Julio Rodriguez. He's just got this style to him. He reminds me a lot of like Acuna and Tatis in the way that he holds himself and just how like contagious his enthusiasm for the game is. I don't have as much confidence in him as I do Bobby Witt or Wander Franco in terms of like, multi-time MVP potential, but he's a really fun player and someone I would be really happy to have in my collection in a big way.
So this is where we're going to flip. I'm holding on Wander. Full disclosure, I'm a Wander collector. I have been for a few years now. But, the fact that, we've seen a decent sample size already at the major league level that shows that, yes, those tools are elite. He's in a really good organization that has a winning pedigree, which also kind of works against him a little bit because it's a smaller market team in the same division as the Yankees and the Red Sox. So, will that suppress him long term? We don't know.
The Rays always find a way.
They always find a way. Agreed. So I'm going to be trading Julio, which is interesting because he doesn't have all that many cards out still. But
yeah,
but I feel like you can't go wrong with.
I'm looking ahead.
Yeah.
I'm looking ahead, and Bowman First. And all that
totally,
good stuff.
Totally. Well, for our third grouping, we want to bring it all the way back because last week we talked some about Prism football, but me and you can't get enough of talking about football cards.
Yeah,
ever.
We love Prism football too.
So let's throw a curveball here and go back to football. So obviously the quarterbacks are all the rage in 2021 Prism. We're going to keep Justin Fields out of this one because I'll be just too biased. So for our buy,
not only would you be too biased, but I just didn't want to break your heart by saying he's my trade.
No, exactly. And that's totally fine. I have I have orange and blue colored glasses on with him. I totally admit it. So buy, trade, hold. We're going to go with 3 of the other quarterbacks. We're going to go with the number 1 overall pick from last year, Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance from the San Francisco 49ers, and Mac Jones, who arguably in terms of on-field performance had, actually not even really arguably, had the best year of all the 5 first-round rookie quarterbacks. So who's your buy out of those 3?
My buy is Trevor Lawrence. Trust the process, trust the scouts. I feel like I've heard about this kid for the last 30 years of my life. He was very solid in small moments last year, but was dealing with a lot. There was a lot of drama with the organization, with the head coach. He didn't have a lot of help around him. You look at someone like Peyton Manning's rookie year, he didn't necessarily light it up, didn't necessarily meet expectations, and then things switched. With Trevor
Almost
Lawrence,
immediately.
I think he's the rare type of prospect and has that rare level of pedigree that you just have to trust the process, trust the scouts, and he's different than other number 1 picks. He was the number 1 pick 4 years, not 4 years, but you know what I mean. A significant amount of time ahead of him even declaring for the draft. He's a special player. I like the hair. I like the mood. I'm a huge fan of the Jaguars uniforms too. Big teal turquoise guy. I just think his Prism card especially looks really great. And so that's my buy.
Well, I'm gonna go. Just for contrarian sake, because it's hard to argue with anything you said there, to be honest. I'll buy Trey Lance. I've talked about it before on this show. I think I thought this of all the quarterbacks in this class when they were drafted, he's the most set up for team success, the most well set up for team success early in his career, despite what Mac Jones did. I feel like the ceiling is super high, and we've really only barely seen flashes. But I do agree it's a little riskier than Trevor Lawrence.
That's why Trey Lance is my trade.
Okay.
I think a lot of people are thinking how you're thinking, and I'm not saying it's a wrong way to think, but I'm saying we don't know how good San Francisco is going to be. The NFL is crazy year to year. There are big shifts and big changes, and it's a team that has consistently battled injury. Deebo Samuel is not happy there. There's a lot of question marks, and they're in a really tough division. You have the Rams. The Seahawks aren't going to be doing much next year, but the Cardinals could put it together. And for all of those reasons, and for the fact that we really haven't seen him play at all, he's someone that I'm just using as trade bait and trying to get into something that either IPC or I believe in more.
It's funny you say that, because the reason I'm trading Mac Jones is essentially the same. It's nothing really against the player. I'm kind of trying to look long term here. And one of the things that I think is underrated about what made Tom Brady and the Patriots so good for so long was how bad the rest of the division was for basically a decade plus.
Mm-hmm.
The division was it was a guarantee for a decade plus that they were winning the division every year.
Yeah.
Whereas you look at what Mac Jones is in, Buffalo is the king in that division, and they're clearly not going anywhere anytime soon. Miami's tooling up in a big way across the board on their roster. And the Jets, the things they've done in the draft the last couple of years have really impressed me. Whether Zach Wilson is going to work out or not, I know the jury's still out, but I feel like there's going to be a little bit more of an uphill climb. And I don't know that, I know everybody kind of, when Mac Jones with Bill Belichick comes up, people are always going to bring up that comparison of young Brady and Belichick. I don't know that Mac Jones is going to benefit in the same way of having just essentially, I don't want to say it this bluntly, but 6 gimme wins a year in the division. Not that they won all 6 every year, but the division kind of gives me a little bit more pause.
I hear you. I will say that he is my hold, mostly because I want to see him play a little bit more. I want to see what Belichick does. I want to see what the Patriots do. He's got really great footwork. Used to be a tennis player. You can just see that completely when he's in the pocket. And he doesn't have a big arm, but neither did Drew Brees. I think a lot of people are drawing comparisons to Drew Brees' game and Mac Jones. And you kind of got to trust Belichick. We spent so long watching the Patriots dominate. I have as much faith in Mac Jones as I do other young quarterbacks in the league, like Josh Allen, like Justin Herbert? Personally, I do not. But I'm not willing to give up these Mac Jones cards until I see a little bit more to lead me one way or the other, because there is so much potential. There's a lot of Patriots fans too, much like the Yankees. And, they built a dynasty for a reason. And a big part of that reason was Tom Brady, but he wasn't the only reason. And for that, I just want to wait and see with Mac Jones. I want to watch a few more games. I want to see how the Patriots play. I just don't feel comfortable trading his cards and moving into someone else this very second. But I wouldn't be necessarily surprised if halfway through the season or next offseason that he falls into the trade category for me.
Okay. So obviously the process of elimination, my hold is Trevor Lawrence. But again, for a lot of the same reasons you said, the long-term success setup is there. And I do feel pretty confident he's going to take the leap. So at the same time, I guess it's kind of a hybrid buy hold, because if you're going to buy him, now is probably the time.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that the opportunity is going to look as ripe next year.
Yeah.
So
I think he's going to impress some people.
Yep.
And pedigree isn't everything, but it is something. And in his case, it was a really big thing. So yeah, I'm definitely buying Trevor Lawrence.
So you're buying Trevor Lawrence. I'm buying Trey Lance. Let's give ourselves some blank checks here. Yeah. Okay. Because the products are just now starting to come out, really, in terms of flagships for 2021 football. So I'm going to give you $100 to buy one Trevor Lawrence card. You tell me what you're buying. And I'll also give you $10,000 for a second blank check. And you tell me what you're buying. So you get to buy something to kind of get in on the market, and then you also get to buy something really high end that you can just show off all the time.
Shout out Mr. McIntosh. So $100.
He stretched that $1 million a long way. I will always believe that.
Mad respect for that kid.
Yeah.
$100 mosaic silver variation, much lower pop than the standard silver. You can get it raw for about $70. Just be very cautious of condition, and then send that value for $30, baby. It's $100 right there. If that comes back a PSA 10, that's I don't know, probably between a $300 and $600 card, depending on the time of year. Yeah. And it's a beautiful card too. The variation, he's wearing the white jersey. I'm a big fan of the kind of the simplicity of the mosaic design. So for me, that's what I'm doing with the $100 getting into Trevor Lawrence.
Okay. What about 10 G's?
Ooh. Flawless isn't out yet.
It can be something that's not out yet. I want to say that. Yeah.
Yeah. Probably something with Contenders Optic. I'm a big fan of that. Maybe the teal autograph, PSA 10, Auto 10. That is very interesting to me. In terms of product that's already out, I'm going to go back to Mosaic. In the Mosaic choice boxes, there's a parallel called Peacock. And it's super short print, but unnumbered. I think it's maybe out of 8, maybe out of 10. But it's a beautiful color match with the turquoise teal jersey. And just a really cool card. I haven't even seen one come up for sale anywhere. I would imagine it probably falls maybe just under 10K, somewhere in that arena. But it's a really beautiful card. And you and I were both big color match guys. And I think that's as color matchy as it possibly gets.
Yeah, I'm sticking with color match for my buy on Trey Lance. So of the 2021 products that are already out, my $100 buy would be a 2021 Donruss premium press proof. These were exclusive to the complete sets that were sold. It's a really nice gold foil. It's not a numbered card, but it's a really nice, probably going to be relatively short printed gold finish press proof of his base rookie. You can get in on these for $50-$60 right now, maybe even less. And again, then utilize that PSA value submission at $30 a card and get yourself a really nice piece.
Love that choice
for the collection.
I love some of these Donruss colors, really pop off.
Yeah.
We were just talking in the office about the yellow Herbert.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful card.
Yeah. And really good, especially if you're into color match like us, it's a really good way to get in on those. Mm-hmm. I'll stick with color match. I'm going to go with a Contenders gold auto out of 10.
For Trey Lance?
Yeah.
Something tells me that's going over the budget.
It might, but seeing what some of the others sold, it might not in a raw card.
Yeah,
So,
I haven't really been following the Trey Lance market super closely, but still, I mean, Contenders is as classic football card as it gets, thanks to the iconic Brady rookie. Out of 10 is, hobby catnip. I don't know, man. That's close. You're playing with fire there. If you go over your budget, you get nothing. That's part of the rules.
So a slight eBay search shows that I am right around my budget.
Okay.
So
all right.
I think, and again, same reason. I think the ceiling is still there for Trey Lance in a lot of ways. So.
Yeah. The 49ers, if the 49ers won 6 games next season, I wouldn't be surprised. If they didn't lose a single game next season, I also wouldn't be surprised. Like there's a great
mystery. Yeah. How much do you want to roll the dice, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's football for you. And that's what makes football so fun, is a lot of the variance that you see.
But we're going to have a lot more football product to talk about coming up in the next several weeks on the show. But this is we've said it before. We'll say it again. This summer is really unprecedented in terms of the ultra modern market and how many products are going to be hitting the market in the next several weeks, especially baseball, basketball, football. There's some really big TCG releases on the horizon. This is going to be a crazy summer. So, the Collectors Club membership at $99 a year right now to get access to value grading. If you're someone who's going to be ripping and wanting to grade a lot of product, $99 a year for the Silver Club membership, psacard.com/join. Again, gives you access to value submissions at PSA. Also gets you a subscription to the New Look PSA magazine with some really cool, kind of Easter eggs that people didn't maybe expect. We showed the refractor cover giveaway of the May 2022 issue with Ken Griffey Jr. And we've also got another layer to that.
Yeah, on top of the refractor cover, we had the kid himself, Ken Griffey Jr., sign a handful of covers. Beautiful silver paint pen. And not only did he autograph them, but we got them slabbed and authenticated by our PSA DNA group. And these things are so beautiful in the oversized casing. So
stay tuned on social media at PSA Card on Twitter and Instagram for details coming this week on how you can have a shot at winning those if you are a PSA Collectors Club member. Very exciting.
Yeah, I'm pumped to show these off. They are so beautiful. And if you're a Collectors Club member, that's the easiest way to get involved in things like this.
Yep. Well, once again, for Jack Archer, I'm Ryan Greene. Thank you to everyone for joining us this week on the PSA Pod. Jack, had fun this week.
Had an awesome time. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to go to iTunes and drop a review, 5-star preferred. But honestly, just whatever you're feeling.
Constructive.
Yeah.
Keep it constructive.
A strong 3-star review, also okay. 4-star, okay. 5-star, absolutely wonderful.
We appreciate them all. For Jack Archer, I'm Ryan Greene. Thank you guys for listening this week. We'll be back next week with another episode of the PSA Pod.